2 months after my wife Catherine's funeral, my son walked into my living room and said something I never expected to hear. "Dad, we're selling your house." I looked at him, then quietly smiled. He thought he was taking away the only home I had left. What he didn't know was that Catherine had spent her final weeks preparing for exactly this moment. And when I finally opened the envelope she left behind, my son's entire plan collapsed. Story. My name is Richard. For 38 years, Catherine was more than my wife. She was my best friend, my safe place, and the person who could turn an ordinary evening into something worth remembering. Our little cottage had never been luxurious, but every corner carried a memory. The kitchen where Catherine baked every Sunday, the porch where we drank coffee on cold mornings, the garden she refused to give up on, even after several plants died. She always said, "A house becomes a home when somebody leaves a piece of their heart inside it." When Catherine passed away, I felt as if someone had quietly removed the center of my world. Our son, Michael, came to the funeral. He hugged me, he cried. He told everyone how much he loved his mother. But after the funeral, something changed. Michael stopped asking how I was doing. Instead, he started asking about documents, insurance, bank accounts, property papers. One afternoon, he casually asked, "Dad, did Mom leave a will?" I told him I had no idea. He smiled and changed the subject. I didn't think much of it, until 2 months later. Michael arrived with his wife, Lauren. He sat across from me and placed a folder on the table. "Dad," he said, "we're selling your house." I stared at him. "My house?" He sighed as though I was being difficult. "Mom is gone. You're getting older. You can't maintain this place forever. We'll find you a smaller apartment." Lauren nodded beside him. They had already decided my future without asking me. I looked at them for several seconds. Then I smiled. "Okay," I said quietly. Michael looked surprised. He expected an argument. He didn't know I had already packed 2 suitcases, not because I was leaving for an apartment, but because Catherine had warned me before she died. 3 days before her funeral, while we were sitting together in the hospital, she held my hand and whispered, "Richard, promise me something." "What?" "If Michael ever tries to take the house from you, don't fight him." I didn't understand. She continued, "Just let him believe he has one." Those words stayed with me. That night, I opened the drawer beside our bed. Inside was a sealed envelope with my name written in Catherine's handwriting. My hands trembled as I opened it. Inside was a letter and several legal documents. Catherine had quietly transferred her entire interest in the cottage to me years earlier. But that wasn't the biggest surprise. She had also left me an investment account worth approximately $650,000. And she had specifically instructed her lawyer to keep it private until after her estate had been settled. Michael knew nothing about it. Catherine had seen the change in her son long before I did. She knew he wasn't grieving for her. He was waiting for what he thought she had left behind. The next morning, I called Catherine's lawyer. I asked one question. "Can Michael sell my house?" The lawyer paused. "No, Richard. He has absolutely no authority over it." I smiled. "Then I think it's time he learns that." A week later, Michael returned with a real estate agent. He walked into the house confidently. "We've already found someone interested." I stood up from my chair. "No, you haven't." Michael froze. I placed Catherine's letter on the table. His face changed as he read it. Then I showed him the legal documents. The house was mine. The investment account was mine. And the decision about my future was mine. Lauren whispered, "But Catherine wanted the family to have everything." I looked at her calmly. Catherine wanted her family to be loved, not used. Michael couldn't answer. For years, I had believed revenge meant making someone suffer. Catherine taught me something different. Sometimes the strongest revenge is simply refusing to let someone take advantage of your kindness again. I didn't throw Michael out of my life. I gave him one final chance. I told him, "You are still my son, but being my son does not give you the right to control my life." He left without another word. Months later, I renovated the cottage, not to make it valuable, but to make it peaceful. I planted Catherine's favorite flowers along the porch, and every morning, I sat in the same chair where we used to drink coffee. The house was still quiet, but for the first time, the silence didn't feel empty. It felt like freedom. Michael thought he was selling my house. He didn't realize Catherine had already protected it. He thought grief had made me weak. He never understood that grief had taught me the value of standing up for myself. And the greatest lesson Catherine left me wasn't the $650,000. It was this. Never let someone convince you that your kindness makes you powerless. Sometimes walking away quietly isn't surrender. Sometimes it's the moment you finally take your life back.